Hey there. Hi! For those who don't know me, my name is Megan if you're new here, and if not, welcome back for episode 17 of Killer Weekend, where each week we'll discuss a true crime case and you guys can feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment box below. Oof, this hair has a life of its own. Also, before any of my Gen Zers come at me for the side part, I'm not old, okay? I'm not old. I swear I'm not a granny. I just wanted to do a little 1950s little Hollywood look with the two hairs that I have left after bleaching it within an inch of its life. I just need to have it right now, okay? My roots really need done, guys. Just leave me alone, okay? I'll just make a small disclaimer before the beginning of this episode. This episode does involve details of violent crime and sexually motivated crime. If that's a trigger point for you, please feel free, turn away now. Just like close your eyes, go watch a wee tutorial, a wee get ready with me. We'll be back again next week. So, how's everyone doing? How's everyone going? What's happening in the world? I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been watching my videos and who's been commenting on the videos. It's really nice because you guys have actually started interacting properly on all the videos and even interacting with each other and debating with each other, which I totally love, guys. I really like to hear other people's perspectives on this, and I don't feel like it's socially acceptable to stop people in the street and talk about murder, so it's actually quite nice to have someone to chat about it with. Me personally, I've always been Team Burke, but we just don't know. I still don't know. It's the Dr. Phil episode, man. It's just not okay. I watched it back again and it's something's a brewing in that. No, and the poo smearing, come on. You don't just grow out of that, do you? Age of 10, smearing poo. Age of 20, genius. Normal guy. Fun family friend. Nah, I don't buy it. Nah. But anyway, speaking of people commenting and people chatting via my previous episodes, I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to a brave woman who shared her story with me. When you sent me that message saying that the things I'd said regarding, victim blaming and things like that had really touched you and resonated with you, I honestly got really emotional. It's probably one of the first times that I've really seen my opinion as changing someone else's experience and how they've experienced other people after a sexual abuse. Honestly, guys, can I just say, if you've been watching these episodes from the get-go, you'll know how I feel about this anyway, but I've always been a mad advocate for women's rights and the fact that women are often blamed for their own assaults and sexual assaults, and still to this day, things have not changed. Look at what's happened in Minnesota only a week ago. I don't even have the words for that. I was disgusted. Their Supreme Court Justice Chief is a woman. She's a woman. The fact that that was allowed to happen, for those who don't know, a young woman was actually told that her claim against her rapist was not valid because she'd gotten herself in a drunk state and therefore consented to anything that happened to her while she was in that state that night. So what they essentially said was they want to do a change in the law so that if a rape victim was incapacitated due to their own choice to drink and get drunk, that it does not mean that they've been sexually assaulted if someone then has sex with them against their will or whilst they're unconscious because they've chosen to get themselves in such a mess that they could not fight back. So essentially, it's their fault, not the fault of the monster who can't hear the word no or who just has sex with an unconscious woman. So yeah, there was that, and it's quite a sad day for the women of Minnesota, and I want you to know that we are out here signing every single petition that we can. Guys, I'll pop a link to the petition for change.org to make sure that this disgusting law never ever happens and that the women of Minnesota will be safe from predators like this guy and that they never have to worry about how many drinks they're having because it's not on. It's absolutely not on. And the fact that a woman was in charge of this decision, shame on you. So with that being said, I received an amazing message from one of my viewers. She had sent me a really emotional message about her own experiences with sexual assault, and it really touched me and made me so emotional about the fact that something I could have said has changed how she has experienced her backlash from family and friends and people telling her that if she hadn't been involved with this person, maybe it wouldn't have happened to her. If she hadn't put herself in this situation, maybe it wouldn't have happened to her. So I just want you to know, I'm not going to name her name, she knows who she is. It wasn't your fault, and this is to every woman who's experienced a sexual assault or abuse at the hands of a partner or a stranger. It was not your fault. You cannot control the actions of someone else, especially someone who is genetically programmed to be bigger and stronger than you. Abuse and violence is learned, and it's either learned in friendship groups or as a child in their home, and the fact that education is not being provided in schools to stop this from happening is a major problem. As women, we are taught in school to watch where we're going, to always carry alarms. I remember we were given whistles in school and little things to pop on top of a straw, so that when we all went out at the weekend, we would have a little thing to protect us from getting spiked. Seriously, in high school, that was given to us. But the boys were sitting at the back like this. Oh, that doesn't concern us. No, not. What? Rape? What? Oh no, that's for you girls to worry about. Really. So yeah, I will keep running my mouth. I've got a big mouth, always have, because as women, it's not our jobs to be terrified 24/7 just so that something may or may not happen to us. And I just want to say a massive thank you to that amazing woman for sharing her story with me. You're not alone. You're never alone. I will always be in your corner, and you are an amazing mother. Your kids are lucky to have you. And yeah, just keep fighting, honey, because seriously, whoever tells you that it was your fault, or even the monster that did it, they're not worth a minute of your time. Yeah, just keep being you, and keep being amazing, and keep being the warrior that you are. Saying all that, this week's case has a little bit of a kind of ring to it. It's very similar to what happened to young Sarah Everard down in London only weeks ago. This young woman in today's case was simply walking her dog on the beach, a beach that she had walked many a time with her dogs and always felt quite safe. She had no reason to believe that a monster would try and snatch her and ruin her entire family's life for the foreseeable future. This week's case, we will be discussing the brutal murder of Toyah Cordingley. Toyah Cordingley was born on the 14th of June in 1994. She was the first child of her parents, Troy and Vanessa Cordingley. They were like a really cool couple, like seriously guys. Now if you see their tattoos, they're covered in tattoos. The mum's got dreads in one of the interviews I saw, and they just seem like really nice, down-to-earth, cool people. They were from Cairns in Queensland, Australia, so they loved the beach, they loved the vibe of being around the ocean, and they were all obsessed with animals. Sadly, the couple did split up when Toyah was just a little baby, but her mum really leaned on Toyah for the support after the divorce. She said that Toyah was our only friend and that she really needed her to get her through and emotionally support her. When she was really young, actually, Toyah was lucky enough to get a new stepdad whose nickname was Snake, which I love. So cool. And he's cool, he's kind of tattooed as well. It's that whole vibe, that biker chick vibe. And he and her mum decided to get married, in which Toyah would then be her flower girl. Her dad did marry someone else as well. Troy moved on, and Toyah wasn't one of those girls who was annoyed to be in a kind of split family. She was really happy to have her new blended family. She loved the fact that she had two sets of parents, and she saw it as a way of just having more people to love in her life. Toyah was a really happy child, and this was only accentuated when her mum went on to have two more children, a little girl and a little boy. The age gap between the kids wasn't massive. It was actually said that Toyah and her younger sister were super close, and that she would often take them out with her, and they would tag along and just want to be a part of her world as well. They look so alike. Toyah and her mum and her youngest sister all have the same face, all have the same eyes. They're absolutely stunning. Like they're beautiful women, 100%. And Toyah didn't really know how gorgeous she really was. She had this amazing personality inside as well, just so kind and selfless. And like like I touched on, the family were major animal lovers, and this just passed on to their children. Toyah was obsessed with animals from such a young age, and she was always volunteering at cat and dogs home. In 2014, she actually joined another cat and dog home named Paws and Claws Refuge Home, in which she would go and like groom the animals and feed them and just train them so that they were easier to rehome. Toyah was super artistic in her life as well. She always was experimenting with her hair and her clothes. She loved fairies. Her friend said she loved anything mystical and kind of different, so she was really alternative, and she had a few really cool tattoos, and at a young age actually she was even dyeing her hair different colours and experimenting with that. She had blue hair, she had a bit of red hair for a wee bit, and then she had a really nice purple hair, but eventually she kind of settled on a nice icy blonde tone. Toyah loved fairies, and she always felt like the world could just be that little bit more magical, and she was going to make it more magical. Like I said, she was a volunteer for many different charities, and if you even take a glance at Toyah's Facebook page, it is inundated with petitions against animal cruelty, petitions against animal testing. It was just something she really felt strongly about, and she hated to see animals treated unfairly. Growing up in Cairns, yeah, it was beautiful and idyllic, but it also had a bit of a darker side at times. When Toyah was in her teens, she and her friend Megan, also called Megan, shout out to you, they both went to the beach one day, a beach named Wangeti Beach, which was quite a long stretch of land, so therefore it was kind of isolated because of the vastness of it. It was a popular kind of spot for locals. It's not a major tourist beach because it is such a long stretch, and it's quite rocky. There's quite a lot of like pebbles, so it's not the easiest access to get into the actual sand that is there. A lot of locals say that it's quite an awkward place to get into, and it's not really worth it for the tiny stretch of sand that you can see. The two girls decided on one hot summer day to go in their bikinis and have a little chill day. When they were laying there, they did notice that another man, an older man, came out of the kind of bush and decided to come and sit down next to them. They weren't really that fussed or phased. They just thought, a little bit awkward, hi there. But then the man proceeded to take off his clothes, and when he was fully nude, he began just touching himself, essentially, just going for it right out there in the public. Lovely. And whilst he was, touching his man, tickling his pickle, he was looking at the girls intensely. The girls were terrified and started making a commotion, but this just seemed to like get his jollies on even more, and they felt so uncomfortable that they ran off the beach, grabbing their things, literally screaming without even their shoes on. They literally had their shoes in their hand. They were that terrified. But the girls said that it put them off going to the beach for a little while, but after a while they just kind of forgot and chalked it up to a one-off incident, or so they thought. Toyah spent most of her time in her early 20s at the Paws and Claws Refuge Centre, which was an animal rehoming centre. She loved her job there and she loved the people there, and her boss said that she was such a beautiful soul, and anyone who came into contact with her just couldn't help but love her. She did have other aspirations as she grew a little bit older, and even when she got a full-time job working in the local pharmacy and was looking to possibly educate herself further in this field, her passion still was with animal advocacy. At the age of 22, Toyah was looking for something a bit more than a friendship, and this is when she met her first ever serious boyfriend, Marco Heidenreich, which is like amazing name, by the way, Marco. Go you. He was this amazing, different sort of guy to Toyah. He wasn't your typical kind of beach bum with the blonde hair, surfing. That just wasn't him. He was a little bit alternative like Toyah, and he was really into anime and manga and all things a little bit different. He also shared Toyah's love of animals, which was a massive tick for her. She always said you never know someone's true character until you see how they treat animals, which is totally true, because I'm just going to say this, I'm just going to put this out there. If you don't like cats or dogs, you're a bad person. Honestly, if I ever see anyone being mean to a dog or not being nice to their pet, serial killer. That's my first thought. Case closed, you're guilty. Marco and Toyah moved in together pretty quickly. Toyah's mum said that she was quite upset when she moved out, not for the fact that they didn't love Marco, because they did. She said that she felt like Marco was Toyah's soulmate and that he made her daughter shine just that little bit brighter, which is so nice to have that relationship with your future prospective mother-in-law. But she was just really sad to lose Toyah from the house. She said that she had such a bright and effervescent energy and she just really didn't want that out of the home. She was still kept busy with her other two children though, and she knew that moving out was the best thing for Toyah and Marco. The two actually decided to adopt some of their own cats and dogs from the Paws and Claws rehoming centre, and one of those animals was a beautiful mastiff mix with German Shepherd and Great Dane named Indy. So if you think about it, Great Dane, Mastiff and German Shepherd, she was a big dog. Like, she was a big dude. She would have been probably bigger than me, because I'm only 5 foot tall. So that's one of those dogs that you don't walk the dog walks you. Friends of the couple even said that even though Indy the dog was a big, intimidating looking thing, she was a complete softie, like not a bad bone in her body. And when she and Toyah would be out in cairns, people would stop to kind of pet her and she would just love it. She just loved a good belly rub and loved all the attention. She took care of these animals like her children, like they were like her fur babies. And in 2018, after a couple of years of living together, Toyah and Marco were just starting an amazing chapter in their lives. Toyah had just been asked to be a bridesmaid for one of her friends, so that was really exciting, and she was really excited about planning hen nights and parties for her friends. Toyah began her day on the 21st of October, just like any normal other day. It was 2018. It was a scorching day that day. It was 29 degrees Celsius, which in Scotland is like set yourself on fire kind of weather. Like literally, if that was us, it gets like 1 degrees above 15 degrees Celsius and we're all like tops off, 3rd degree burns, the aloe vera's out. It's one of those ones. We don't tan well. I mean, I tan really well, but I think I'm really the minority here in Scotland. Everyone seems to come out a few days after we've had nice weather with like the t-shirt burns and it just looks super painful. Because it was so sunny in Cairns that day, Toyah decided to get dressed and wear a nice little kind of yellow crochet bralette and then a really nice kind of burnt orange maxi skirt. She just looked really cute, really like her little gypsy soul self, as her friends described her, and she wanted to head out to a local market called Rusty's Market. It sold fresh fruit and veg and other fresh produce. She was going to go out, get some bits for dinner for she and Marco later that night, and then she was going to take her dog Indy on a big walk through Wangeti Beach, the beach we'd mentioned previously. She decided to go home, quickly get changed. She got Indy with her leash and everything like that and headed out the door. It was believed that Toyah should have arrived at Wangeti Beach at around kind of 2 to 2:30ish, and the two set off on their long walk down the beach. Toyah drove her Mitsubishi, which was in a steel blue kind of colour, with her private registration plate TOY 146. TOY for Toyah, 146 for the 14th of the 6th, her birthday. When Toyah's partner arrived back at their home, Marco wasn't too concerned when it was later in the evening and Toyah hadn't turned up. Like I said, she was extremely outdoorsy and she had Indy with her. But then when the clock started ticking by and darkness fell, he was a little bit more concerned. He thought he would phone round some of her family and friends at around 9:30, 10 p.m. just to see if anyone had heard from Toyah, but he got the fright of his life when none of her family or her friends had heard from her at all since the beginning of the day. Her mum was really worried about this. She went into red alert and decided to then and there report Toyah missing. Now, some people have kind of criticised the Queensland Police for how this was handled and how seriously they took Toyah's case straight away. Now, it is said that she was reported missing, but because she was missing near a body of water on the beach and it was pitch black outside, they did say that they could not hold a formal search party until the next morning, which we've seen before on the Delphi murders as well. They said they couldn't search through the night, they would search in the morning. So it is one of those things, we know that this is just standard procedure, especially if there is a body of water or a large drop in the area, and this was something that Wangeti Beach had both, so we can totally understand why they wouldn't want to put not only their own staff at risk but the public's safety at risk, because they would then in turn be liable if they held this search. So I totally understand the family's way and the media's kind of perception of the fact that that's just not good enough, and I totally understand the way that the police are saying they can't put other people's safety at risk. Toyah's family did not listen to police, understandably, much like that of the Delphi murders. The family went out and took it upon themselves to go out looking in the dark. They all had their torches on their phones and they scoured the beach looking for Toyah. Things seemed up for a moment when they saw in the shadows of one of the trees the big dog Indy that we'd mentioned that Toyah had been out walking with. Now, when they approached Indy, they did notice that she'd been tied with a rope around the tree so tightly that she could not sit down. The dog was clearly distressed and hadn't been able to sit for several hours. They knew for a fact that this was not something Toyah would have ever done to Indy. She loved that dog like her own baby, and she would never have tied her up like that, even for 5 minutes to jump to her car to get something. They realised then and there that this had taken a dark turn and that someone had sadly tied Indy to the tree to possibly keep her away from Toyah. When the family found Indy, cut her off this rope, and for all intents and purposes, guys, Indy was completely fine, made a full recovery, and just because I'm a dog lover and I know I'd be like, what about the dog? But no, she was fine, I promise. When her mum and her dad cut Indy off the rope, her mum, Vanessa, decided that she was going to go back up to her car because her phone actually ran out of battery. And a lot of people say that this could have perhaps been maybe divine intervention, because what was found next, no mother should ever have to see. Toyah's dad, Troy, who was searching on the beach with his estranged wife, managed to come across Toyah's car, and he noticed it straight away with the TOY 146 registration plate. He knew that was his daughter's car. He thought, great, a point of search. So he started digging through, seeing if maybe any of Toyah's items had been dropped along the way. They did find bits and pieces of Toyah's belongings, and then sadly, just protruding slightly out of the sand, he found the body of 24-year-old Toyah Cordingley deceased in a sand dune. Toyah's dad, Troy, was absolutely traumatised by what he saw, and he was so thankful that his ex-wife Vanessa hadn't been the first one to stumble upon their 24-year-old daughter's nude body. Police were called straight away and went right into action, calling press conferences with Toyah's mum and her dad. They interviewed door to door around the area to ask if anyone had seen anything in the area, and her mum made a public appeal that would make anyone absolutely heartbroken to watch this woman plea for the murderer of her best friend. Essentially, that's what Toyah was to her mum. Like, her mum was quite a young mum. Like I said, she was really cool and really kind of current. She had loads of tattoos. She was just really free-spirited, and this is where Toyah had learned that from, and you could just tell she was absolutely lost without her little girl, and she's there begging for this person or someone who knows who this person is to come forward and give them information. Police are very tight-lipped on the details of this case because it is still an open and active investigation. Like I said, we still don't have an official cause of death for Toyah, and we still don't know exactly what happened that day on the beach. We do know from what police have said it was an extremely violent attack and she sustained many injuries. It was also said that this was a sexually motivated attack, obviously because she was nude, and perhaps the fact that she may have been sexually assaulted. A lot of people have speculated about decapitation and the fact that she could have been strangled. I've seen that in a few different newspaper articles that's not been backed up by fact. Daily Mail, you know who you are. But we don't know for sure, so therefore I'm not going to sit here and ramble on about how she was killed. We don't know. Around the time of the family's press conference, police also released a statement asking for anyone to come forward if they seen anything suspicious or they were in the Wangeti Beach area around 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. on the day of the 21st of October. A few people do come forward, and there is a lot of speculation with this particular time frame because if you remember, Toyah would have arrived at the beach at around kind of 2 to 2:30, so therefore the police believe that this is her official time of death, and this is maybe when Toyah was attacked on the beach. In this same appeal, police also ask for people to keep an eye out for anyone who may be acting suspiciously within their family or friends group who may have sustained scratches or defence wounds on them in the last few weeks. Which leads us armchair detectives to wonder, was there perhaps DNA found under Toyah's fingernails, and this is how they know the person would have sustained severe scratch marks? An anonymous witness soon came forward. It was believed to be a male witness, and he said that whilst he was near Wangeti Beach that day, someone had actually flagged him down on the side of the road and they were acting extremely suspicious. He said it was two grown men and they were acting really bizarre, as if they were really highly emotional and erratic. When he pulled over to ask them what was wrong, they actually said it was just a flat tire and that it was something that they could have just done themselves. He said that it wasn't something that was majorly stressful, but the two men were acting as if they wanted to get the hell out of that area and ASAP. They were acting really erratically, screaming at the guy to hurry up and help them with it, so much so that he kind of freaked them out as well. He said these were two scruffy males and police then urged them to come forward. There was also another encounter on the beach that was quite odd, so someone would maybe have remembered it. A couple said they were out walking their two dachshund dogs, so they're little sausage dogs. One of the dogs actually jumped into the back of a family's sedan whilst they were walking on the beach. They said they had a big laugh about it and it was really funny. They said that the family on the beach were a man and a woman who had just arrived on the beach with their two young daughters. So they said that perhaps they had been on the beach a little bit longer than them and they would have been in the vicinity of where Toyah was attacked, essentially. So police did call for them to come forward, but as of 2019, the family still hadn't come forward, and I'm not sure if they ever truly did. Toyah's younger sister, Lena Gardner, even pleaded on social media for the couple to come forward, even stating, how would you feel if this was your family member and that one piece of crucial information could close the case. Almost kind of out of nowhere to us in the public, because not a lot of information has been given to us by the police. Someone was actually listed as a persons of interest. He was a father of three who was a male nurse at the time, and he seemed like your normal kind of quintessential family man. He was originally from India. His name was Rajvinder Singh, and he had a seemingly happy family until the day Toyah went missing, because only the day after Toyah's body was found, he actually decided that he no longer wanted to live in Australia with his family and his children, and he fled the country after quitting his nursing job and flew to India. His young wife had recently just had a new baby, so therefore him travelling this far, this early on in the baby's life, just seemed totally out of character for him. It is believed that his family or friends over in India are protecting him and keeping him incognito, but a lot of people were thinking that until the episode of the 60 Minutes documentary aired only a few weeks ago, with Indian officials saying that there's been no extradition papers filed or requested for Rajvinder from Australia or from the embassy. They said that 100% they will help find Rajvinder when the time comes, but until the Australian authorities kind of summon him, there's no need for them to find him. He's just a local returning to his hometown. A lot of people were shocked by this, as a lot of people were wondering, he was named as a person of interest back in 2018. What have the police been doing for 3 years if they allegedly have DNA perhaps from under the fingernails with the scratch marks, or if perhaps they've got DNA from the sexual assault? Is there any reason why this man cannot be brought back to Australia and at least given a DNA test, or even given a DNA test over there? Is there nothing that can be done to get this moving forward, especially since police only recently listed this man as a formal suspect in the case? And they have since, with the pressure of the 60 Minutes episode, it would appear, have now listed him as a formal suspect, and they've launched this extradition order for him only just now. That was literally like 4 days ago. So it's just crazy, the fact that nothing was really seemingly getting done on the surface until this 60 Minutes episode came out and it became clear that no extradition order had ever been requested for Rajvinder, even though he was listed as a formal person of interest. And the fact that he fled the country literally the day after the murder. With the extra media attention that this case has brought to Australia, it's came to light that Wangeti Beach has quite a checkered past. Like we said, the peeping Tom incident with Megan and Toyah when they were young, that's not the first time something like this has taken place. It was actually commonly known that a well-known paedophile in the area, Gary Amy, would actually sneak in the bush and take pictures of naked children playing with their families. In the years following Toyah's murder, there was actually a 26-year-old woman who was sexually assaulted on the same patch of beach. The man had allegedly asked the woman if she would drive him to his car, and she agreed to walk him to his car as she was walking that way along the beach anyway. And when she did this, the man tried to overpower her and attack her. This led people in Cairns and near Wangeti Beach to be afraid. Also, with such a checkered past, people started asking the questions of why is it not being patrolled by local law enforcement, and perhaps if regular patrols were being taken seriously and done on the day of Toyah's disappearance, this may not have happened to her. All we can do is just hope that they're doing their best and that Rajvinder Singh will be brought to justice now that the extradition order has been placed and has been filed. They are currently looking for him, but as many people know, so many of these men escape to India in the slums. They hide out. We've seen it in so many movies, so many books and other crime cases, and they're never found because it's such a densely populated area. They just never find them. I hope that's not the case in this. I hope he reaches out to family, friends, makes a mistake, and I really hope this guy's put behind bars if he is the one who brutally attacked Toyah. I think it's important to remember, much like the case that we discussed a couple of weeks ago down south in London, I just think we all need to remember here she was walking on her local beach. We just need to remember that the only person here to blame is the man who took her life and thought that he could get away with it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's episode, and fingers crossed that we'll hear something on this in the next couple of weeks. If we do, I promise I'll give you a little update just at the beginning of our next episode when and as it happens. Thank you so much for tuning in every single week. It means the absolute world to me. I know I say it in the comments, I know I say it on here every time, but I really love the fact that you tune in and actually want to listen to me. Like, are you sure about that? But no, in all seriousness, thank you so much, and please do keep reaching out, chat to me, chat in the comments, tell us what your thoughts are on this case. If you followed me for a wee while, you will know I have actually started my own personal vlog channel on YouTube. It's Megan T, and you'll find the details for that in the description box below. So please give that a little subscribe button, and hit it for this channel too whilst you're at it. Go on. You know you want to. Also give this video a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and give that notification bell a little ding, because I don't want you to miss any of the next episodes coming up, because they're gonna be good ones, I promise. I'm getting through the list of request cases. I just wanted to get this one in because it's fresh and it's unsolved, and we need to get this one solved. Also, if you miss me in between episodes, I don't think you will, but I'll give you the option anyway. You can follow me, not home, because that's unacceptable, lads, on Instagram at Megan True Crime. You can also follow me on TikTok. Don't worry, I don't get my bum out, and I definitely don't wear crop tops, so that would be a lose-lose for everyone, at Megan.truecrime. I can't wait to see you next week on Wednesday and Friday, and I'll just upload my vlogs whenever I've got a hot damn minute. So remember guys, I love you so much. Be safe, lock your doors, don't talk to strangers, and don't touch yourself on the beach next to people you don't know. Like, girls are there trying to eat their little tuna sandwich and you're just sitting next to them touching your bits. See ya! Yeah!